We're kicking off today with the Bloodline, which is now being led by Solo Sikoa, who has a golden opportunity at the undisputed WWE title at SummerSlam next month. The group played a huge role on last week's SmackDown and will do so this Friday, as WWE did a double taping of their Blue show last week because talent will be busy this week in Japan. With that in mind, this is your official spoiler warning, so if you don't want to know what'll happen this Friday, please skip the next 45 seconds of this video. During the taping for the July 26th episode, the Bloodline's Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa won a gauntlet match to earn a shot at the WWE Tag Team titles currently held by DIY. The match included Pretty Deadly, the Good Brothers, and the duo of Apollo Crews and Baron Corbin, but in the end, it was the Bloodline who stood tall, last eliminating the Street Profits. DIY have held the titles since the July 5th SmackDown, where they beat A-Town Down Under, but their reign is in serious jeopardy given what we've seen from the Bloodline so far. As for when this title match will happen, that remains to be seen. And what do you make of the Bloodline having this opportunity? Sound off in the comments. As we all know, the Anoa'i wrestling family is vast, and there's plenty of members who aren't part of the Bloodline, including Queen Nia Jax, who also appears on SmackDown. Despite also being a heel, Jax has yet to align with her family on TV, but the #1 contender for the WWE Women's title isn't opposed to the idea. Speaking to the Battleground podcast, Jax addressed whether she could possibly one day join the faction, and believes there is always the opportunity for her. She said, "You know, I think, well, obviously it's always a thing, right? Because right now I am the female Samoan bloodline in the business. I feel as though, and then we have Tamina, and then we have, married and Trinity or Naomi, Naomi, so there is that option. I also feel as though the men are doing such a great job and they're doing their own thing. I feel as though they want us to have our own thing. They want us to go in our direction and thrive in what we can do. I've said it before, even though we're not on screen, behind the scenes, the boys are constantly supporting us. They're constantly having our backs, and if they're not there in person, they're texting me, watching my matches, giving me critiques, and helping me out. So if ever down the line they need some women to get in there and kick some butt, I'm more than happy to." While Jax isn't officially aligned with her family on TV, there have been hints over the years, including Jax raising one finger to acknowledge Roman Reigns during this year's Hall of Fame. Nia Jax has already proven to be a dominant force in WWE, and do you think she'd benefit from being an official Bloodline member? Let us know in the comments below. More from SmackDown as well. The Bloodline stood tall to end the night. Kevin Owens raked the eyes of Tonga Loa, momentarily disorienting him. During the tapings for this Friday's episode of the Blue Brand, the Bloodline could be seen once again, but this time Loa was sporting an eye patch as a result of Owens' attack. After this week's SmackDown, Loa warned that it ain't over, KO. It's not over, as the son of Haku is no doubt hungry for payback on the former Universal Champion. As one of the biggest names in pro wrestling, Hulk Hogan has used his name and likeness for a number of businesses over the years, and this year launched his own Real American Beer. The name comes from Hogan's iconic WWE theme song, but this beer has now gotten Hogan in hot water as he's been accused of racism. In a TikTok video, brand ambassador Essence Janai claimed that Hogan canceled her role working with the Real American Beer brand after discovering that she is black. In the caption to her video, Janai said her contract was canceled the next day after Hogan made the discovery, and in the video, it's revealed that she was replaced by 2 white influencers. Janai added that her contract was for a week, but she was fired after 1 day for seemingly no reason, and shared a screenshot of the conversation about her firing. She was told that all her events promoting the beer were canceled, even though she'd done nothing wrong, and this is not a good look for the 2-time WWE Hall of Famer. These accusations come 9 years after Hogan was fired from WWE for making racist comments about black men, which saw him use the N-word and admit to being a racist. These comments were made back in 2007, but only saw the light of day in 2015, and after WWE terminated his contract, Hogan apologized and asked for forgiveness multiple times. In 2018, Hogan was reinstated into the Hall of Fame and returned to WWE, where he has made appearances ever since, though fans have often given the Hulkster a mixed at best response. Real American Beer was quick to deny any rumors of racism in the decision, and the company also denied Hulk Hogan had anything to do with the decision to part ways with Janai. In a statement given to Fightful, a spokesperson claimed that this decision wasn't made by Hogan and that race had no part in it, and that it instead came from a third-party agency. We are deeply troubled by the false rumors circulating on social media that a brand ambassador hired by a third-party marketing agency was terminated by Hulk Hogan for racial reasons. Real American Beer simply terminated its short-term relationship with the third-party marketing agency. Hulk Hogan was not involved in that decision, and race was not a factor. We are in communication with the agency in an attempt to clear the misunderstanding and incorrect information, and believe that this false statement will be withdrawn. This is a serious matter and has not done any favors to the Real American Beer brand, and we will continue to monitor this situation for any further updates. It was back in 2018 that Bobby Lashley returned to WWE, and he's seen massive success since then, but now the former WWE Champion's run may be coming to an end. Sean Ross Sapp reported on Fightful Select that Lashley's WWE contract is up within the next month or so, and that he has been removed from the company's internal roster. For the time being, Lashley remains part of the active roster on WWE.com, and this news comes months after his latest match, which saw him beat Santos Escobar at a May Live event. Lashley has not been included in WWE creative plans since the spring, leaving the Street Profits and his Pride stable without anything to do, and fans are curious as to what will come next. Lashley plans to continue wrestling if an extension with WWE is not reached, and the Almighty has only wrestled 5 times in 2024 so far, including a 6-man victory at WrestleMania. It's also reported that a return to MMA fighting isn't out of the question, and we imagine there's plenty of smaller MMA companies who'd pay a substantial amount to have the WWE superstar fight. Ultimately, we don't know what's to come, and what's your take on Bobby Lashley possibly leaving WWE again? Do you think it's for the best? Let us know in the comments. Now, during the most recent episode of AEW Collision, Skye Blue's match against Hikaru Shida ended abruptly as Skye was injured during the contest, and it is a serious situation. Shida attempted a crossbody to the outside on Blue, who landed awkwardly on her leg and hip, and medical staff immediately checked on her, putting the match on pause. After coming back from a commercial break, it was decided the match could not go on, and Shida was awarded the victory as Blue had to be carried to the back by AEW's medical team. Commentary highlighted the severity of Skye's fall and the thorough attention she received, and on Twitter, Tony Khan shared that Blue has suffered an ankle injury. In an update, Fightful Select adds that the initial hope was that Skye would be okay after her injury, and some adjustments were made to the show due to her injury. It's unclear exactly what changes were made, though it's expected AEW had to stretch out segments to fill the time that was initially allocated for the rest of the match. As for Skye, she's since been spotted in a cast and is resting at home, and her partner Kyle Fletcher has said he's ready to be her doctor as she recovers from this setback. This is an unfortunate injury and once again highlights that injuries can happen at any time in wrestling, and we'll keep a close eye on this situation for any further updates. Over to TNA now, as last weekend was the promotion's Slammiversary event, which marked the highest gate for any TNA event for the past decade. Expectations were high, especially for the 6-man elimination main event, which saw the crowning of a new TNA World Heavyweight Champion. Steve Maclin was the first man eliminated after the champion Moose flattened him with a spear, but then Joe Hendry eliminated Moose, guaranteeing a new champion. The crowd were at a fever pitch and chanted "We Believe" as they prepared for Hendry to go the distance, but Josh Alexander put a stop to that by hitting Hendry with a low blow. Alexander, showing a heel side fans have never seen before in TNA, then hit the Scottish Star with the C4 and eliminated Hendry to loud bullshit chants from the crowd in Montreal. Nic Nemeth got the fans even more on his side by eliminating Alexander with a super kick, and in the end, the Wanted Man eliminated Frankie Kazarian to win the match and the TNA World title. Slammiversary went off the air with Nemeth celebrating his victory, and in a post-show segment as champion, Nemeth admitted that the result could have gone another way. The former Dolph Ziggler added that the TNA World title is the premier championship in this business, and even said he'd be ready to defend any day, anytime, any place. With TNA's relationship with NXT, we'll have to see if any place does include the Capitol Wrestling Center, and if so, what name Nemeth would go by in a return to WWE's Gold brand. But what do you make of all this? Was Nemeth the right call, or should Joe Hendry have won the Gold? Perhaps somebody else should have won at Slammiversary? Let us know your thoughts below. Slammiversary took place in Montreal, a city famous for what happened at Survivor Series 1997, and the Screwjob played heavily into the result of the X Division Championship match. As champion Mustafa Ali had the advantage over his challenger Mike Bailey, Ali brought out Earl Hebner, the referee at the Screwjob, and Ali added insult to injury by locking in the sharpshooter. Instead of repeating what happened at Survivor Series though, Hebner officiated in an honest fashion and refused to call for the bell when the champion demanded. Bailey shifted momentum in his favor by dodging a chair shot before trapping Ali in a sharpshooter of his own, and Ali tapped out, and it was then when Hebner called for the bell. This marks the end of Ali's reign and the start of Bailey's second, and given that the Speedball is from Laval, Quebec, this was something of a homecoming victory for him. Now Mike Bailey has the coveted X Division Championship, and what did you make of the match and the inclusion of Earl Hebner? Let us know down below. Slammiversary also saw the NXT crossover continue as Wes Lee teamed with his allies in the Radicals to earn a hard-fought victory over the No Quarter Catch crew. Since this relationship started, we've seen top names like Jordan Grace and Joe Hendry appear in NXT, and fans can expect to see much more crossover the other way. That's according to Fightful Select, who reports that there is expected to be more WWE integration into TNA, but did not state what superstars fans can expect to see in the Impact Zone. In addition to Lee and the No Quarter Catch crew, TNA has also welcomed Tatum Paxley and Izzy Dame, both of whom have unsuccessfully challenged for the Knockouts World title. The TNA NXT crossover is something that had seemed impossible just a few years ago, and what have you made of the two sides aligning? Give your thoughts in the comments section. Last week, Jinder Mahal's 90-day non-compete clause with WWE expired, and the former world champion wasted no time in making an impact on the independents. During the GCW So High event, Effie was in the ring but was attacked by a masked figure, and that turned out to be none other than the modern-day Maharaja. It's notable that Mahal appeared for GCW as after his release, it was reported that GCW was foaming at the mouth to work with him, as were other companies. Speaking of which, Mahal will make his return to the ring this Friday at Black Label Pro's Old Habits Die Screaming show in his first match since appearing on SmackDown in April. Given that WWE owns the rights to the Jinder Mahal name, the wrestler will now be going by Raj Desi and has taken to Instagram to share dates for his upcoming Unhindered tour. This tour will see him compete for Black Label Pro, Northeast Wrestling, and even at AAA Triple Mania, as well as other promotions and meet and greet events. The name for the tour comes from the meme of Don't Hinder Jinder, but going by his actions at GCW So High, wrestlers should learn to don't messy with Desi. But what did you make of Raj Desi's return to the independents? Are you excited to see what's to come? Sound off below. During the latest episode of AEW Collision, Hologram, a brand new character, made his debut with a technologically ambitious presentation at the event. Hologram arrived with a stunning light show and picked up the win over Gringo Loco, and this debut match has gone down very well with those behind the scenes. Fightful Select reports that Hologram received considerable praise following his debut, with significant recognition also going to Gringo Loco for his role as Hologram's opponent. Regarding the technologically ambitious aspects of Hologram that were previously mentioned, there are additional plans in store for him. Hologram's true identity was revealed to be former AAA star Aramis, but after Collision, the ROH taping saw the return of Fuego del Sol, which led some to believe he is also Hologram. On Twitter, Del Sol made clear he is not Hologram, but praised the latter's debut and gave a shout out to Gringo Loco, but added that not all masked guys look alike. Del Sol also said he'll be back on TV soon enough, and while he may have shown up around the same time as Hologram, the two are not one and the same. Collision also saw the Patriarchy win the AEW Trios titles, which had been stripped from the former champions, the Bang Bang Gang, as Jay White is out with an injury. White hasn't competed since his Owen Hart Cup first-round match with Hangman Adam Page, and this has proven to be the latest health setback for the talented wrestler. Interim AEW EVP Christopher Daniels made the call to vacate the titles, as he believes Juice Robinson can't keep subbing for White forever, and now we have an update on the Switchblade. Sean Ross Sapp reported on Fightful Select that Jay White's injury is real, according to AEW sources, but no official diagnosis has been reported regarding the severity of his injury. While the group tried to bring up the Freebird rule, Daniel's decision was final, and it remains to be seen when White will be able to return to the ring. When Jeff Hardy left AEW earlier this year, he would go on to return to TNA Wrestling, but only after his older brother Matt returned to the company first. Matt returned to TNA in April and has quickly become one of the leading names in the company, but Jeff wasn't entirely sold on returning to the promotion at first. While speaking in an interview with Sportskeeda Wrestling senior editor Bill Apter, Jeff recalled seeing Matt return and how he was convinced to give TNA another go. When Matt first showed up in TNA, my wife called me in the bathroom and said, "Do you know Matt was going to TNA?" I said, "No, I had no idea." Then I watched the footage. Oh my God. And to myself, I speak with my soul, I said, "There's no way we're going back to TNA." But then I just let it dwell. I thought about it, and then I was like, oh my God, wait a minute. I had a lot of cool moments in TNA. I created a lot of great memories in TNA. Jeff and Matt have both spoken about feeling underutilized in AEW and are hoping to bounce back in TNA, though at this time, neither man has confirmed that they've signed a contract. Given TNA and WWE are working together, there are some hoping to see the Hardy Boys in WWE one more time, and in the interview, Matt told fans to never say never in wrestling. Matt also pointed out that the NXT tag team titles have yet to be won by himself and his brother, and said that the exciting and unpredictable nature of the crossover has been exciting to see. The Hardys are easily one of the most popular and decorated tag teams in history, and could a run in NXT be in their future? Let us know below if that's something you want to see. Over the past few days, it's been reported that the Motor City Machine Guns have been in talks with WWE, and that the two sides are in heavy negotiations if a deal hasn't already been signed. Tommaso Ciampa recently shared a photo of Guns, further teasing their arrival, and Alex Shelley also teased something big at a West Coast Pro event. Speaking to the crowd after the match, Shelley gave the spoiler that he might not come back to the promotion, signifying that his days competing on the indies may be coming to an end. This has led many to believe a WWE deal has been reached, as other companies, such as AEW, would be far more willing to let Shelley and Chris Sabin still compete at indie events. Next month, Shelley and Sabin will face Evil Uno and Stu Grayson for Smash Wrestling, but right now, all signs point to the former TNA World Tag Team Champions heading to WWE. Speaking of potential signings, Delta, aka Delta Brady, has been making waves in her native Australia for some time, but it now looks like she'll soon be in WWE. That's according to Corey Brennan of Fightful Select, who reports that Delta recently wrapped up her final dates in Australia and will now be heading overseas. The Powerhouse impressed at the tryouts before Elimination Chamber Perth this February, and with those in Australia saying it's believed she'll join WWE, we may be seeing Delta in NXT soon enough. We've got some unfortunate news regarding Dalton Castle, who was knocked out during the July 13th episode of AEW Collision when he was hit with Roderick Strong's running knee strike. Castle was motionless after the pinfall was made, and as soon as the match ended, the ref looked very concerned, and Strong took a moment of worry before he celebrated the win. On Twitter, Tony Khan stated that Castle will be out of action for the remainder of the year in a massive setback to the flamboyant wrestler. Once again, this shows that all it takes is one move to derail someone's career, and we are wishing Castle the very best as he starts his long journey back to the squared circle. And we're ending today with Bret Hart, whose skills in wrestling cannot be denied, but recently the Hitman was the celebrity guest for the Okotoks Dogs baseball team. The two-time Hall of Famer was welcomed by those in attendance as he threw the first pitch and appeared at the game to his iconic entrance theme. The game saw the Dogs, a team based in Alberta, beat the Moose Jaw Miller Express in a big win for the 7-time Western Canadian Baseball League champions. Bret Hart's legacy remains strong as he continues to interact with fans and participate in events that celebrate his storied career, and the Hitman showed his pitching skills on the diamond.